Okay, guys, before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching it on another channel, I don't know, just kind of give me a round of applause. I appreciate it. Right, let's jump in.
Whole Man Academy. Because the world needs strong men. Whole Man Academy is changing the game for men around the world. It's for guys who want to live an epic life of fun and adventure, no matter what. We believe deep down, all men want to go on their own hero's journey to becoming resilient, confident, fearless, and fulfilled. Listen in to be inspired by guys who don't settle for living a life of mediocrity. This is your call to action and call to adventure. Are you ready?
Okay, so this is the Whole Man Academy podcast, episode 101. If you're waiting for some unbelievable guest to arrive, bad luck, it is just me today, but we've got plenty to go through to give you something to think about and to take some action steps on if you decide to. And that's the important thing here. We can give you all the cool things to do in life, but if you're not going to take action, ain't nothing going to happen. So let's jump in. A few quick announcements before we get into the meat of the sandwich. Firstly, the Escape and Reset experience is now available. We've put it on our e-letter this week. And what is that? It's an opportunity to come and stay with me in my home for 3 days to work on all the stuff that men might want to work on. And we labeled it as a chance for men that need the headspace to recharge and rediscover what they want out of life. And this was one of the things going back to kind of 2019 that I first decided would be something I could offer, which I thought would be really powerful and something that I might have wanted when I worked in the city. So really, we invite you to escape the rat race, take your foot off the accelerator. Now, we could come up with all the fancy word salad to give you thoughts and ideas on it, but we've actually got a list and we'll put the link below of what a guy actually gets if he comes on the Escape and Reset experience. So number one on the list was, we call it doing the inner work, which means we work on a detailed life and goals plan. We work on a powerful morning routine for guys, which is what I do with companies. And that's one of those things I think that if you can start your day right, the rest of the day can be made a lot easier and you can achieve more and hopefully be in a better mood. The other one was about an ultimate brain dump, which we do, which is always something that guys love, especially on the mentoring program, getting the thoughts out of your head, everything you need to, you think you need to be doing, getting those down is great. We also look at limiting beliefs. So many of us in the past have had it where you're like, yeah, well, I can't do this because of this, because of this, because of this. And then when you're challenged, you're like, well, actually, I could do that. I just, had created a roadblock. So limiting beliefs is one of them. We have specific action steps for you when you leave, and also you get a lot of rest time. So refuel and recharge is exactly part of that. We say we want to kind of refuel you like a race car. You wouldn't put shite in your race car and expect it to function properly. So you get 3 nights and 2 days at my house, which is about 40 minutes north of Oxford in the UK. You get your private room with luxury en suite. You get all organic food and drinks included, healthy energy snacks. You get your lovely room for proper sleep. So nice and quiet. Generally an eye mask as well, and just sleeping through the night, no distractions at all. We also dine out together in a lovely country pub around the road from here, and also there is meditation available if that's of interest to you. Plus, the big thing here, it's not just about going away and recharging, it's about challenging yourself. So we fit in a hill trek with some epic surroundings around here. We also do a brief thing of cold water immersion, which is fun, not necessarily enjoyable. We make you get out of your comfort zone, which I'm not sure if many people or many guys are doing these days. We have a quick gym workout. We look for complete honesty and authenticity in everything you do and all your answers. And here's one of the cool bits: no phones and no screen time. So provide you with the opportunity, if you need to have, an emergency phone number or stuff like that. But imagine a couple of days where you just leave your phone alone. No scrolling, no pissing about on Instagram and all the gubbins that you can think of. It's leaving your phone alone and spending time resting and refocusing on exactly what you want out of life. Good. So if you find that interesting and you think you want to check it out more, we've got plenty more details. The link will be in the show notes. So sniff that out when you get time. Now, next on our list, another quick announcement is, I know several of you have asked about the Whole Man Academy T-shirts that we had. Those are now available. Again, I won't bore you with it. The link is in the show notes. Have a look when you get time. And if you get one and you're wearing it, send me a picture or tag us on Instagram and let us see you moonwalking around looking beautiful. So point number one on our list, or third thing we're going to bring up, is Michael LaRock, who was on the podcast 100 last week. He mentioned something that created quite a few, generated some good responses from guys via email and a couple of them on Instagram, about confidence in your body. And he was talking about partners and whether your partner particularly would want to have sex with you because of the way you look. interesting conversation to have. But that was one of the big things for me, that it's funny how sometimes you can record an hour's podcast and there'll be one segment in it that will really kind of spark some thoughts and possible actions from guys who are listening. So if you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen. There's plenty of golden nuggets there, but it sure is interesting. A lot of the stuff hit home for guys. And I appreciate all your messages coming back saying, this was thought-provoking. I'm going to take this action. What do you suggest to this? If you're not sure, reach out, hit me up and ask me a question. So on the podcast, I mean, again, now we're over 100. And again, I remember back when we were on 10 and I was like, oh, that's good. Then 25 was good. And then 50 was David Gandy's podcast, which, what have we had? Something like 35,000 views of that now. So that was ridiculous. But going forward into episodes 100 up to 200, we want to give you more thought-provoking content for men. So it isn't necessarily about, fitness and health in that respect. We're going to talk about some other issues that we're going to branch out onto, just so it's not the same thing every week, and some interesting guests. So stay tuned for that. I'm always looking forward to finding those guys that you might not necessarily have heard of, but I think the content and the knowledge that they've got could be game-changing for you. So again, go back to even last week's podcast, plenty of golden nuggets on there. Enjoy it and listen to it. Now, if you don't already, I know plenty of you do already subscribe to the e-letter, but we got an e-letter from, a message from a guy, an email, who'd written the e-letter last week. And he said, just one of the things he said was, I've not been on your email list for long, but the last few have really hit home. And again, what we're talking about, if you haven't read the last couple of them, is about the impending food shortages that we think are going to be coming, or not think, we're pretty sure they are. And we wrote a lot about growing your own vegetables and how the limiting beliefs that we talk about could get in the way of you actually taking action on this stuff. Now, I don't know where the saying comes from, but this isn't a drill. If the media starts saying that there are food shortages, remember what happened a year or two ago with the toilet roll. It disappeared quicker than you can wipe your ass with it. So I'm promising you, taking action now could leave you in a much better position if things like this happen. And again, if you're like, what's he talking about? Go back to last week's e-letter if you subscribe. And if you don't, just send me an email and say, can I read that e-letter? And I will send it to you so you can have a look. One of the long voice messages I got from one of the guys who'd been on the podcast, and he said, you know what? I kind of know that this is coming, but I haven't taken action because, to be honest, for all of us, you're just like, oh, I'm too busy doing this. But I'll give you a clue. When shit hits the fan, you are going to wish you have taken action on it. So let me know if you are taking action. Send me your photos of anything you're growing, or if you're not sure, again, reach out to me and ask me, and I will point you in the right direction. On that, I was thinking about creating a brief guide to the food shortages as to what links you should have. Again, we put some on the e-letter, but some of the things you should grow. So maybe I'll do that in the next couple of weeks. But in between that time and now, take action and get involved. I promise you it will be worth it. Men's bodies, let's talk about that. So the where are we now? This is Friday. So on the Apex Predator course, which we've been talking about on our e-letter, and with Jay Reynolds, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, we're launching that in a week's time. And that is for guys who, and we talked about men's confidence, the guys that want to have that kind of warrior physique. Jay really breaks a lot of it down. And what I love about Jay with his courses, whereas our energy protocol course, which I recorded, I wanted to make sure it was quite a slick production. I filmed it several times. I made sure the lighting was okay. I made sure the graphics were good. I went through the presentation and tried to make it as snazzy as possible. What I love about Jay stuff is he doesn't give a fuck about that. He's like, do you know what? I'm recording it. It's in my bedroom. It's about the information I'm giving you, not about how kind of pretty it all looks. So that's what I like, is it's very much no nonsense. So we'll be releasing that in a week and a half's time. So look out for that if you're on the e-letter, and then we will start putting it in the show notes. And what we'll probably do there is start it off at a cheaper price to help some of the guys who want to get involved, and maybe add a discount for the first 10 guys that buy it and actually take action on it. So keep an eye out for that. Now, I had an email in the week from a guy. We were talking about mentoring, and he went back to an e-letter I wrote maybe 6 months ago and flagged something he found really interesting, which was, what's the one thing that you're avoiding talking about? And I ask that because when you look around in your life, often people are hiding, or they're not addressing the most obvious things that they need to in life. And it kind of is I call it going ostrich and burying your head in the sand. So it's an always interesting one is, what are the things, if you were talking to a guy about what's going on in your life, what's the one thing you kind of avoid wanting to talk about? That's often the thing that you really should be talking about and taking action on. So have a think about that one. And on that, I mean, we see so much, especially in the last 2 years, where some guys have let their health kind of decline or their fitness because of lockdowns and, the onslaught of kind of negative media and pictures and press and etc. Everything in the news that kind of brings people down a bit. So I'll remind you that your health is your most valuable asset. You could have all the money in the bank and you could have all the toys in the world that you think you need and etc., all the boxes ticked. But if you're ill, then you're in trouble. So again, it doesn't matter what segment of life for us, we look at health, fitness, lifestyle, mindset, career, money, etc. But if you're looking at your health and, let's put fitness under that umbrella as well. For you, are you living an optimum life for what you're eating, what you're drinking, how you're sleeping, etc., etc.? There's plenty that can be done about it, but, avoiding this and just living a fairly kind of crappy health lifestyle will catch up with you in the end. So again, just have a think about that. Now, on that subject, we talked about the news. So many people that I talk to now are just like, do you know what? I just can't even switch on the news because it's such negative. It's just an onslaught of kind of negative headlines and pictures and etc., etc. Guess what? The great thing is you can turn off the news. If something really, really important happens, someone will tell you about it. I, for one, haven't watched even normal TV. You call it the mainstream TV. I haven't watched it for over 6 months now, and I do feel better for it. So if you can, switch off the news, don't buy newspapers, and you will find that your life will be enriched. Maybe not straight away, but again, several of the podcast guests that we've had, I'm trying to think who the first one was. It might have been Jim Brown many, many episodes ago, who said, I just don't watch the news, because I know it is created to create a response in me, and it's not a good one. And that can affect your long-term health. Plus, we find now with social media, again, with people scrolling, just switch it off if you can. I was out yesterday and I think I checked my email once because I was waiting for something important. But apart from that, I didn't look at my phone once, didn't touch social media, etc., for probably about 8 hours. And it felt so good. So that's one of the important things. We saw, was it 2 weeks ago, especially if you're a dad, I went to take my boys to football and I always join in with them because they're only little tiddlers and we're all having fun together as a kind of a, boys, dad's day out. And you'll see so many parents sitting there scrolling on their fucking phones and not actually kind of even watching their kids. And the funny thing is, a couple of weeks ago, there was a guy sitting behind one of the goals and all the kids are there taking penalties and having fun and laughing, joking. He's just sitting there looking at his phone, scrolling. And it was obviously the world works in mysterious ways, because then one of the boys took a penalty and belted it straight at him and hit him in the face. And if he'd have been watching, he would have moved out of the way. But unfortunately, he was scrolling. So there you go. That's obviously a sign from someone to put your phone down, especially when you're with your kids. Now, next one. I know we've talked before on the pod very briefly about home educating kids. I won't talk about this now because most people don't want to know. But if you're a guy who is interested in home educating kids and wants to know more or wants to know about what works for us and what we've learned, because until 2 years ago, I knew sod all about it, feel free to message me, ask me any questions, and I'll happily jump on a call and give you some pointers to some great resources to help you on your own journey. Because for us, not having our kids in school is one of the most important things that we can do for them, basically. Last thing. Now, I read this, a couple of weeks ago, and I copied and pasted it so that I can remember for one of the podcasts, which is you need to keep growing and evolving to live your life to the fullest. And the big message there is kind of don't get comfortable. Always consider saying, how can I better myself? How can I improve my morning routine, my fitness, my business, my relationships, my career? It hasn't got to be all at once. But what is it you can do to sometimes bring some of these things up a level or two? You'd be surprised what small tweaks and small things you can do. Compound decisions, even little ones over time, can make such a big difference. So I think that's it for us today. We're looking forward to coming back here with a whole list of great podcast guests for episodes 102 upwards. And most of them that will challenge you and hopefully challenge your thinking as well, because I guarantee that for most of us, we don't really know how the world works and we don't realize that everything we know is wrong. So we're there to challenge you, not necessarily to please you. Let me know what you think of all the podcasts we've got. And apart from that, have a look in the show notes for the reset experience. We've got the Whole Man Academy T-shirts. And of course, as always, the mentorship program is open if and when you need me. Right. Enjoy yourself. I'll catch you soon.
Thanks for listening. Remember to sign up to our game-changing weekly e-letter that's read by men around the world. Sign up at wholemanacademy.com/movement. Until next time.